So this comes to the very fundamental question of what is meditation? Because many practices, many systems, many groups, or religious groups, or secular groups, they all treat meditation as some method, a way to improve something, to achieve something. And hopefully, meditation is a pill they can take so they can immediately be something better. And many people also taking this so-called spiritual approach to achieve something through the so-called meditation, to be awakened, to be more tolerant, and so on, so on. This deals with the fundamental question, what is meditation? Why most people treat meditation as a method, as something you must do specifically. I need to sitting in silence for 5 hours today. I need to live a very, very simple life with very simple, a few clothes. You see, because the mind, is always divisive, as we discussed in the first question. So it is always easy for the mind to treat meditation as a fragment. So most time I'm still doing this in the society, fulfill myself by more desires. Oh, but today I have too many desires. I need to meditate to calm down. That's most people's definition of meditation. So only to alleviate their issues, their problems, their symptoms, but never really resolve anything. The true meditation is never divorced from life. Can one live a life as a meditation? Can one be aware at each moment, no matter what you do? Then meditation is no longer a fragment, isn't it? It is totally concerned about your life, how you live. It is totally concerned about your existence. And when you really live that way, meditation is no longer practice. It is living. Living authentically. So the mind is always fully aware. When the mind realizes that the mind and body is one. You see, in language, think body is body, mind is mind. But actually, the whole neuron system functions completely when there's full awareness, when the mind is really looking, observing, feeling, not trapped in thoughts. When you do everything, you use your full heart, full sensation to perceive, to look. Be aware. There's no thinker at all. And then, this way of living has no contradiction, has no conflict. And the question is no longer how to meditate, but how to live. When you really live, actually, not as an idea. Oh, I should do this, I should do that, I should do this practice. That's an idea. But actually live fully by observing, learning. That's new thinker, observer. All the things is revealing to you. And all those things, as speaker has been pointed out today in the session, is not a knowledge. Knowledge is false. Knowledge has its place. But when you really live, the things you feel, the thing you get, the thing you perceive, it's not knowledge. Knowledge is old. Knowledge is never new, isn't it? You know it. When you know it, you recognize it. The very recognition is the thought processes, isn't it? Therefore, knowledge is always old. Because you recognize it, you know it. But when you really perceive, when you really live at each moment, perceive, look, you don't recognize it. I see you, but when I recognize you, oh, I know your name. I don't see you anymore. When you look at a tree outside, when you recognize, oh, it's this tree, oh, it's that tree, with all kinds of botanical knowledge, you are not seeing the tree. Right? Because that recognition, which means the thought has already blocked you from seeing the actual. So when you really live a life with full awareness, you are perceiving. And out of that perception, you get something always stable. You always perceive the same thing. It's not knowledge, it's not thoughts. Actually, when the mind is free of the thoughts, free of the knowledge, knowledge stays in the memory, but not into your consciousness. That state of mind can touch upon something eternal, something timeless. That when you're in that state, the mind always perceives the same thing. You might have different words to describe it, but it's the same thing. And that's not knowledge at all. And for the same thing, every time you perceive it, it is always fresh, always vital. Always energetic, always urgent. That thing, if you can give a name, you may call it the truth. No matter which label you give, doesn't matter. But that thing is not in the domain of knowledge at all. And when you really compound that thing, you don't want any security anymore. Because security from the thoughts, from the knowledge, is always around the thinker, the thoughts. But when you really compound something that is eternal, that is beyond any thoughts, any knowledge, but it is always there. The mind is secure, but it does not need any security. And in that state, there's compassion, there's love. There's care. And that perception, which is very stable because it is timeless, it is universal. Give one infinite inspiration. Truth must be perceived. When you put it into knowledge, it's no longer true. Truth is always fresh. Every time you come upon it, it is always there, fresh, vital, but you can't hold it. Just like when you hold some sands in your hand, all the sands will flow away. So truth can't stay. You can perceive it. And you must keep perceiving it. But you can't let it stay. And that's the sin one can come upon. This must be from the actual living in truth, with this full awareness at each moment. And the mind must be free of knowledge. It does not mean that it has no knowledge. Free of the knowledge means that the mind is not trapped in knowledge. You can have knowledge. That's no problem at all. But psychologically, the mind is free of any knowledge. Perceive. To come upon this very stable, very immovable perception. And the mind feels utterly secure, utterly clear. And such a living has love. When life is surrounded by love, life can't be problematic. And this love, this compassion, is not an idea. It must come from mind that is lives with truth and perceive and come upon truth at each moment. Live with the fact. And that's meditation. That's life. Life is meditation. Meditation is life. It is total. It is one. And through that, you can understand everything on this planet. Because we are all the same psychologically. And only a mind, which is always meditating, just like we are now inquiring, it is still meditating. Only such a mind is capable of loving, caring, and live a very thin, healthy life in this monstrous society.